Mini Trump, we used to, they used to refer to Tony Blair as Bush's poodle. Boy, that description. I mean, Tony Blair was nothing, compared to Boris Johnson. It looks like he cuts his own hair and, with a mirror. Speaking of poodles. Last night, let's let Victoria Jones tell us all about it. Victoria Jones with the DC radio company, at Victoria Jones DC on Twitter. Hey, Victoria, what happened with the Supreme Court there in the UK?
Yes, well, the Supreme Court in the UK has just ruled that the prorogation, the suspension of Parliament by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was unlawful, void, and of no effect. And therefore, Parliament has not been prorogued or suspended and can not be recalled, but can effectively come back to work at any time.
Is this and also is it an implication, or was it explicitly said that in getting the Queen dissolves Parliament, Boris Johnson talked to the Queen to get her to do this, that he lied to her? Did the court explicitly say that, or is that just the headline I'm seeing? B, if so, is that a crime? And C, is this the end of Boris Johnson's political career?
Well, to answer your last question first, in normal times, in Britain, you would resign when you had been shamed like this.
Right.
There have been calls from all over the place for Boris Johnson to resign. Today, he appeared at United Nations standing next to President Trump, and he was asked if he might step down. President Trump answered for him. I'll tell you, I know him well. He's not going anywhere. And Johnson said, no, no, no. And then Trump said that the reporter asked a very nasty question. So in answer to one of your other questions, Johnson sent his prorogation request to the Privy Council, which took it to the Queen. And Lady Hale, the president of the Supreme Court, 11 justices sat, by the way, and the decision was unanimous, said that the Privy Council's decision to advise the Queen was unlawful, void, and of no effect, and should be quashed. So in other words, yes, Boris Johnson misled the Queen with his advice. And so the Queen, Her Majesty, has been put into an extremely unpleasant, impossible position, which the Crown should never be put into, because it really operates in the shadows, in the greyness of an unwritten constitution. And Boris Johnson is giving the impression now, as this evening, as it is in Britain, that he may suspend Parliament again, because he wants a Queen's speech, and you traditionally suspend Parliament before that. So the question is, how long would he try to do it for?
He's trying to keep Congress or Parliament from convening, specifically to keep them from voting on or debating or voting on something less than a hard Brexit. Is that correct?
That's right. And Lady Hale, who there are many stories about this, and you can't avoid it if you see the pictures of her, sported an enormous giant diamond spider brooch, which is getting a lot of traction all over social media, wondering what was the message she was sending, said the effect on the fundamentals of democracy was extreme. She said that effectively it had not been prorogued, and she said there's no justification for taking an action with such an extreme effect that has been put before the court. And you remember that the government didn't put forward witnesses. They provided basically some scribble. They didn't provide documents. So they provided nothing to justify their actions.
Remarkable. So just to put a bow on this, how long do you think Boris Johnson's going to last?
Probably until the next general election. And Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour Party leader, closed out the Labour Party annual conference today with a rousing speech. It certainly put some pep into his step by saying the tide is turning. The years of retreat and defeat are coming to an end. Together we'll take on the privileged and put the people in power. Thank you. Go forward and win an election for the people of this country.
So when are the next general elections in the UK?
Oh, well, there's expected to be one probably as early as November. Corbyn also called on Johnson to resign.